Hello everyone, Miss Carrie here from Miss Carrie's Creations. Today I'm creating a farmhouse summer layout for Bramble Fox using this lovely lemony summer title that will be arriving in the July Fox box. I'm going to create a layout using these photos of my daughter. She loves wearing sundresses and looks absolutely stunning in them. So I felt like this summer title was going to be perfect for the page. It's going to pair well with this farmhouse collection that has some yellow, blue, and pops of red. And that's always a great color combo for summer. To play off that red in the photo, I've grabbed a bag of little warm heart perspectives, which are always great to use on a project. For this page, I've picked two patterns that I'm going to layer for the background. One is a soft yellow pattern that I have gutted because I don't want to waste any of that paper. And the other is a cool blue color with little gray and white barns. I have also made my photos a little smaller and printed them out on my printer. They were originally 4x6 and 4x4, but I wanted them to sit right next to each other on the page, so I decided to make them the same size. To help me line up these two pattern backgrounds, I'm going to bring in another piece of 12x12 paper and use it as a guide to make sure everything is nice and straight. I could use a T-ruler or the grid lines on my glass board, but this tends to be much faster. Once I have those two pattern papers adhered together, I can remove that extra pattern paper and I know everything is nice and straight. I'm going to back the photos with some blue cardstock. This is going to bring out the navy in her dress and coordinate with the yellow background and the yellow title. I'm also going to layer a yellow floral strip and some tags at the top of the photo. These tags are a part of one of the pattern papers and they are really easy to cut out by hand. I love all of the little details on these. And they kind of remind me of old flour sacks. So even though these photos are more recent, I'm going to be using them to tell the story of when our daughter was younger. Every summer, my husband would take her shopping for sundresses. The three brothers stayed at home with me and she got to pick out any pattern or color that she wanted for the summer. She was always so excited when she came home with all of her new sundresses. Every time I see her in a sundress today, I am reminded of those little moments that she got to spend with her dad. So I've gone ahead and laid out the basics for this layout. Now I'm going to mark where all of those items are at so that I can bring in a stencil. I'm using a stencil that has some concentric circles on it. Instead of using this for ink or paste, I'm going to use the stencil to create some circular stitching. I am placing a piece of foam behind my layout so that I can use a piercing tool to create the holes. I'm going to poke the holes right in the center of each of the circle cutouts in the stencil. And I'm going to continue doing this until I get to the edge of that blue pattern paper. Once I have the basic template for my stitching, I'm going to place some holes in between each of the holes that I already created. They are spaced a little bit too far apart for the size of stitching I want to create, so I'm just going to use that piercing tool to add a few more holes. This is a great way to use those stencils that you have. If you're not comfortable with mixed media or you just don't want to use it on your page, you can always grab one of your stencils and use it as a stitching template. Now that I have a guide for my stitching, I'm going to show you how I hand stitch on a layout. A few of you have requested this, so I'm going to give you a really simple tutorial. When it comes to adding stitching, the first thing you want to think about is your thread. When you're choosing a color of the thread, you need to decide if you want it to contrast with the layout or blend in and add texture. On this layout, I'm using a dark yellow thread so that I can see the circular shape, but it's not going to contrast so much that it looks out of place. I have already threaded the needle and I'm going to start in the second hole. I didn't tie a knot in the end because those little knots can leave a bump on your paper, so I just secure my ends with tape. I've brought that needle through the second hole and now I'm going to push it down into the first one. This is called a backstitch. Now I'm going to bring up the needle through the third hole and push it back down into the second. So this is basically a type of straight stitch that is a little bit stronger, and it creates some bulk on the back side of your paper, which raises up your stitching. To me, the backstitch also looks a little bit neater than a typical straight stitch. I'm going to continue stitching these circles off camera, and then I'll finish putting all the pieces together on my layout. As you can see, I added that circular stitching in the corner, which looks a lot like a summer sun, and I've created a stitched border around that barn pattern paper. I'm just going to use my fingernails here to lift and distress the edges slightly to give this some texture. I'm going to start adhering a few items down onto the page. I have lifted the photo mat up on some foam so that I can tuck some items behind it, like that floral strip and the tags. Now, for years I have collected brads and beads and eyelets, and I told myself that I need to start using them again. It's been a while since I've used this eyelet tool, but I did get it to work. I don't know if I did it correctly, but that little eyelet is secured, and I like how it brings a circle element to the tags and adds some textural contrast. On either side of my photo, I have some barn door pattern, which I have strategically cut so that I could see just the colors of the barn doors that I wanted to use. Before I adhere these down, I want to place a little pocket on the right side of the photos for my journaling. I have cut this seed packet using a die. This assembles really easily. All you have to do is fold up on all of the score lines that the die created, and then just use some double-sided tape to adhere all of the tabs together. Now, this packet does have a little tab at the top that you can fold over so that you can put some things inside, but I'm just going to go ahead and leave it open so that I can tuck a tag in there. I am going to place this little cut apart card over the top. Now, I have gone ahead and added some zigzag stitching to this, and I have trimmed it down to fit the seed packet. For the tag, I'm going to use another cut apart card. I'm going to place a tag die over this area of the card so that the yellow shows at the top of the tag. I am going to print my journaling and I'll adhere it over the area with the sentiment so you won't even know that this was a cut apart card. I'm going to adhere all of this into place and then I'll put that barn door pattern over the top. I'm just going to use my T ruler here to make sure that the two pieces of that pattern paper are lined up nicely on the page. This page needed a horizontal grounding strip, but I didn't want to add any more color to the page, and I needed to bring in another black element to match the black on the tags. This black and white weather vane pattern works perfectly. Now I'm going to start bringing in some of the red color. I have the summer title, which is this lovely lemon color, and I'm going to tuck some flowers below it. Next to that title, I'm going to add a little chipboard barn and a windmill sticker. These are neutral tones that match the theme of the page and create a lovely little scene there at the bottom of the layout. I also like how the windmill is bringing another circular element to this design. I have gone ahead and added a yellow flower and a puffy sticker I'm going to play off that bit of red and add a little heart perspective near the title here. I have tucked a little thread bundle behind it, which is going to help link it to the title. On the back side of the tag paper, there were these little wreath cards. Now, since I cut this wreath apart for the two tags, I decided that I would go ahead and use what was left to create a little bit of greenery behind the photos. That ribbon at the top has a yellow nail in it, but I'm going to replace it with a blue brad. Now, this gives me 3 little metal elements in all of the colors that I'm using for the page. Around the top of this greenery, I'm going to tuck in some more florals in a red color. I'm also going to tuck in a single yellow flower behind the leaves to match the other yellow flower that I added to the seed packet. I am going to tuck a little thread bundle under this cluster of flowers, and then I'm going to add another little heart up here. I love this little cluster here at the top of the page and all of those little pops of red that help to bring out the photos. Underneath the title, I added a yellow checkered flag, and then I added a red brad to the seed packet. These 2 items are helping to form visual triangles between the other yellow and red elements on the page. Now that all the elements are in place, I'm going to add some simple gray splatters. I don't want to add too many on this layout, just enough to bring in some texture to the paper. Tags are always fun to add to a page because it gives you an opportunity to add twine or ribbon. On this tag, I'm going to tie a bow with some white organza ribbon, which is going to allow that yellow check pattern to show through, and it's going to bring some great texture to the page. So here is the completed page with the journaling. I'm going to pull out this little tag so that you can see what it looks like. I covered up the sentiment on that cut apart with a piece of cardstock, and then I added stitching along the edge to make it look like it was all part of an original tag. This is a great way to use your pocket cards and cut apart pages. The rest of the layout was rather simple to create with layers of paper and stickers and cutouts. I love how those little pops of red in the hearts and flowers bring your eyes to the photo, while the lovely yellow title and tags give this a summery feel. The circle at the top is one of my favorite designs, and I love how easy it was to make. I mimicked that circular design on various parts of the page, like on the windmill and on the brads, and I added more thread and stitching for texture. The photos on this page are of my daughter in her sundress. When she was young, she loved going shopping with her dad for sundresses, so I wanted to record that memory. I love how all of these bright summery colors came together on this page with that lovely title. I hope that this project gave you some inspiration for using that July Fox Box title. If you're not a subscriber of the Bramble Fox Box, I have put a link in the description below so that you can learn more about the subscription. If you would like to see more of my projects, you can visit my channel or follow Miss Carrie's Creations online. I hope that you have a wonderful week, and I can't wait to see what you create.